Real quick, before we continue with the episode, I want to let you know that if you're a creative person who wants to share your creative gift or whatever you're passionate about with other people and create an online community, a podcast is an amazing way to do it. And you can start a podcast today with Anchor by Spotify. It's such an easy way to make a podcast. Trust me. I'm not a tech person and I did it. So if I can do it, honey, you can too, okay? Anchor has tools to allow you to record and edit your podcast from your phone or your computer. And you can host on Anchor and it will distribute your podcast to platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. So you don't have to worry about, uploading your podcast to all these different sites. And it's everything that you need to make a podcast in one place. And it's 100% free. So there you go. Let's go. Start your podcast, create your online community, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. All right, without further ado, let's continue. Welcome to the Creatively by Estelle podcast. My name is Estelle Avberry and I'm your host. This show is for creative and performing artists, and this is your space to feel creative, to feel inspired and motivated every single week, and to be given tactical tips and tools for you to reach your creative goals and fulfill your purpose as a creative person. You are welcome here. Let's get into the episode. Hello, welcome back to the Creatively by Estelle podcast. Happy Monday. I'm so glad you're here. I appreciate you being here, taking the time out to listen. You are probably doing something else right now, or you could be doing something else right now, but the fact that you're listening today means so much. So thank you. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're excited for this week and what God has in store for you. I hope that you feel creative and empowered. And if not, I hope that by the end of this episode, you absolutely will. Before we get into the show today, I do want to read a review for us that is on Apple Podcasts. So on Apple Podcasts, there's a space at the bottom of the podcast to write a review. You can leave a review and a rating. And so I'm going to read a review, the first review that was left by one of my good friends, Lois, and I'm really grateful that she left this review and rating, and I'm going to read it out loud to you. So she rated it 5 stars, and she said, "Great podcast. If you know Estelle personally, you know how great of a person she is. Elegant and graceful woman of God. Thank you for using your creative gifts in a way that honors God. Love you loads." I love you, Lois. You are a woman of God. You are a great person, and I really appreciate you leaving this comment. Um, wow, this is really, really encouraging. It made my day to read it. You guys, if you feel encouraged in any way, or if you just like an episode at all, I would love for you to leave a review just like that, actually. It really, really does help me by giving me feedback and encouraging me, and it will help our community grow because, the more reviews and ratings, then the more people will find the show and hopefully be encouraged. Hopefully like creatives will feel like they're supported and feel empowered to really be who they are, have a more positive mindset and outlook on their gifts and their talents and really start to use them in a greater way. And so I really hope that they find this podcast, and you leaving a review or rating would help that process. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lois, for leaving that review. I'll be trying to read reviews every now and then whenever I see a new one pop up. I would love to share them on the show. So you'll also be featured if you leave a review. So there's that too. Thank you so much, Lois. And thank you guys for being here once again. So without further ado, let's get into the show for today. All right, so today's episode, I really just want to riff on a topic that has been coming up in my mind. Actually, kind of 2 topics, but I'm going to put them together. And it really is the fact that you don't have to have everything together when it comes to what you're doing, what your creative gift is. If you're an actor, if you're a singer, a performer, an artist of any kind, you might know exactly what your thing is, quote unquote, right? Or you might feel like you are moving into this space as a beginner, right? And that's the other part of it is like, the beauty of being a beginner, but also like the fear that comes with that. And feeling like, wow, I really don't have it all together in this. Like, I don't know everything that I'm doing. I actually don't know what I'm doing at all. So there's that aspect, right? That comes with being a beginner and not having it all together. And sometimes it can be really easy to be down on yourself because you're like, oh, I haven't done this in ages, or oh, I don't know how to do this. Like, I don't know how to submit this audition perfectly to get this specific role that I want, or I don't know how to do this, you know, um, aspect of, you know, um, why do I keep saying, this aspect of singing in my voice lessons today, or whatever the aspect is, whatever it is that you are doing as a creative. Sometimes it's easy to be down on yourself because you don't have it all together or because you are a beginner. And I want to just encourage you that it's okay. Let's reframe our mindset when it comes to being a beginner and not having it all together as a creative, because this show is all about helping you feel more empowered, feel more positive towards the gifts that God has given you and actually using them, right? And fulfilling the purpose that you feel like you have because of the gifts you have, right? And also um achieving the goals that you have that God has put in your heart, working towards those goals. And at the end of the day, you're going to have to start somewhere. And sometimes that means starting as a beginner. And for me, I know I've had those instances already this year. One of them being when I started ballet class again. So I grew up dancing, but I'd only taken like 1 year or so of ballet when I was younger officially. So I've done lyrical too. I did a little bit of like contemporary lyrical in college. Um, but I didn't and I took a contemporary class as well, an adult lyrical class actually. Right when COVID started. So it was online and that was fun. But this was my first time taking ballet in years and years and years. And on top of that, taking it as an adult, right? And even though, like, I was really familiar with a lot of terms because I would, still engage in ballet, like, whenever I was taking obviously, when you're taking contemporary classes, there are some ballet terms that come up as well. And so I knew some things, but I was still very much a beginner, and I still am very much a beginner, right? And so going into that class, it still is a little bit nerve-wracking at times because you're like, well, we'll see what happens, right? But reframing my mindset and being like, you know what, this is a chance for me to practice humility and to feel like I'm really learning again, right? And I'm in a learning environment, and that's okay. This is also an opportunity for me to have childlike wonder and curiosity and just be open to what can happen and what I can learn, right? And it's okay to feel like I don't have it all together as a dancer in this class because we're all in it together. Honestly, it's an adult ballet class, so everyone has different levels of ballet, and that makes it fun because we can all learn from each other, right? So that has this has been like an opportunity for me to reframe my mindset when it comes to being a beginner and not having it all together as a dancer or in my adult ballet dance class. I don't know if I'd call myself a dancer, but as I'm taking this dance class, right, it's an opportunity for me to be a beginner again and remind myself that I'm doing this because I love performing, because I love being on stage. I love or even if I'm not on stage per se, but I just love performing. I love telling stories through movement, through music, through acting. So that's why I'm doing it. And so reminding myself of my why has also been really helpful to reframing my mindset. So that's that's just one aspect, right? That's just one area. I also recently did like an audition, an acting audition for this um, sort of local show that's being put on. It's not a full production, but it's like a mashup of different short plays that are being released, I guess, in our local cultural arts center. And it was really fun. It was a really fun audition, But for me, it was my first in-person audition in years. I actually have done online auditions just to, keep my try to, keep my audition skills sharp over the years, even though I haven't been acting. But this was my first in-person audition where we were, feeding off each other, working with the sides and everything. And it was nerve-wracking, but it was so exciting. I had so much fun. By the end of it, I felt so filled up and I was like, this is what I love to do. And that was for me, that was a reminder again of the beauty of being a beginner, is that you get to go in with this, again, this humility, knowing that I don't know everything and that's okay. And I'm here to learn, right? And then again, the curiosity, the childlike wonder, and just being like, okay, what can I do? Like, what's the opportunity for me to learn here? What's an opportunity for me to grow here, right? And it's ok and reminding myself that it's okay that I don't have it all together and that I don't know everything, and I don't know exactly how to play this character in this way, and that's okay because 'cause I'm going to learn and I'm gonna do my best, right? And then, basically knowing that at the end of the day, I'm learning and I'm growing, and this is an opportunity for me to do that, right? And I had a great time, and I was able to remind myself of my why by the end of it, because I was like, yeah, this is what I love to do. I love performing, whether I'm dancing, whether I'm acting, telling stories is what I love to do, and I love to do that through the performing arts, and that's my like create what I feel like are my creative gifts, and the ways that God has just yeah, allowed me to be creative has always been through storytelling, through the performing arts. And so reminding myself of that why has made being a beginner so much more pleasurable and so much more exciting and less stressful. You know what I mean? Like, reminding myself that the fact that I don't have it all together and that I am a beginner is actually a good thing, because I get to have more fun being in this learning environment, learning from people who know more than me, making connections with people who know more than me, right? And and it's okay that I don't have it all together, because I'm not performing, I'm not taking dance class, I'm not acting because I have it all together, or because I know everything. I'm doing it because I love it, and because these are the gifts that God has planted in me, and these are the desires and the passions that God has planted in me. And so I can discipline myself to work in those and to grow in those and to put myself out there in those areas. Even though I don't have it all together, I can still take that action that I need to take to grow in those areas. Not because I have it all together, but because I love it, and because these are the gifts that I feel like God has given me and that I wanna grow in. And so at the end of the day, it all goes back to remembering my why, and that is what really has helped me reframe my mindset towards not having it all together. That's helped me reframe my mindset towards not having it all together, and towards being a beginner, and it's made it so much more fun. So I just wanna encourage you today, like, if you are feeling like a beginner, or you are feeling like you don't quite have it all together as an artist, whether it's in your creative career, whether it's in your creative outlet that you're working on or growing in, or you're just trying to be more creative, but you are feeling fear. You're coming up again and again against this like wall of fear and like all these doubts, right? That are coming at you, most likely internal doubts, right? Because we are our greatest critics most of the time, especially as artists, right? Maybe you're coming up against this fear over and over and over again. I want to remind you, it's okay to be a beginner. It's okay that you don't have it all together and that you don't know everything. Frankly, no one does. But even the people that you feel like that you look up to and that do have it together a little more and who are masters in what they do and who have been doing what they do for a long time, they had to start somewhere, right? They were a beginner at some point, and so it's okay to be a beginner. Look at this as an opportunity for humility, to learn and to grow from people who are maybe further along than you. Look at this as an opportunity to be a child again, in a sense of like having that childlike wonder, right? And that curiosity. look at this as an opportunity to remind yourself that it's okay not to have it all together. And look at this as a chance for you to be reminded of your why, and let that why push you even past the fear, through the fear, in spite of the fear, right? Let that why be stronger than your fear, that no, I'm doing this because I love it. I'm doing this because this is a gift that God has put in me. This is a desire God's put in me. I'm doing this because I'm curious, because I want to. Simple as that, right? And let that why be bigger than your fears. And I think that will really help you when it comes to reframing your mindset around being a beginner, around not having it all together. That's what's helped me. And I hope that you take this and you run with it and you start working towards, that thing that you love to do and growing in that. And yeah, it's okay to be a beginner. It's fine. We're all in this together. We're all here to encourage each other and motivate each other. And that's what I'm here to do for you. So yeah, go be a beginner and have fun doing it. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you found it encouraging. If there was one thing that I said today that you feel like spoke to your heart, would you mind sharing this episode with someone who you think this would encourage as well? Because I feel like if you share it, then they'll be encouraged and we can all grow together. You know what I mean? You can also screenshot this episode and post it on your stories on Instagram or Facebook and tag me, and I would love to reshare it. And it would encourage me, and we could even start a conversation about what you liked about it and what you would love to talk about more. So yeah, just keep interacting with this show and tag me if you do. I would love to chat with you. Also, I'm really excited for upcoming episodes. You have no idea. I'm going to be interviewing one of my friends this weekend who's an actor in California. I'm so excited to interview him. I think you're going to learn so much from his career and from his how he's using his creative gifts. I'm interviewing Deanna Giletti tonight. I'm so excited to talk with her. She is a star on TikTok. She's an actor. She's an incredible person, and I'm so excited for you to get to hear from her. I have a show coming up with Maggie Berra, who is the founder and CEO of the Actor Aesthetic podcast, an online community. You're going to love hearing from her. I'm just excited. We have some great people coming up, so stay tuned. Um, Check back here every Monday, and occasionally we'll have like our midweek motivation on Thursday. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. I hope you have an amazing week, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Creatively by Estelle. I hope you feel encouraged by today's episode as you start this week. And if you have a moment, I would love for you to just share this episode with a friend if you liked it, or with someone who you think this could be encouraging to. It would really help the show. Also, if you really loved this episode, if you wouldn't mind going to Apple Podcasts and leaving a review and rating this show, it would really help us reach more people through this show and grow our Creatively community. All right, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.